I'm a trader. I don't really care about that kind of stuff. I go with what if I see an opportunity to make money, I go with that. So for most traders, it's not about, we don't really care that much how they're going to fix the economy, how they're going to fix the whole situation. Our job is to make money from it. And personally, I've been dreaming of this moment for 3 years. I have a confession, which is I go to bed every night, I dream of another recession. I dream of another moment like this. Why? Because people don't seem to maybe remember, but the 30s depression, the depression in the 30s, wasn't just about a market crash. There were some people who were prepared to make money from that crash. And I think anybody can do that. It isn't just for some people in the elite. Anybody can actually make money. It's an opportunity. When the market crashes, when the euro and the big stock markets crash, if you know what to do, if you have the right plan to set up, you can make a lot of money from this.
If you could see the people around me, jaws have collectively dropped at what you've just said. I mean, we appreciate your candour. However, it doesn't help the rest of us, does it, or the rest of the Eurozone?
I would say this. Listen, I would say this to everybody who's watching this. This economic crisis is like a cancer. If you just wait and wait thinking this is going to go away, just like a cancer, it's going to grow and it's going to be too late. What I would say to everybody is get prepared. This is not a time right now to wishful thinking the government is going to sort things out. The governments don't rule the world. Goldman Sachs rules the world. Goldman Sachs does not care about this rescue package, neither does the big funds. So actually, what I would actually tell people, I want to help people. People can make money from this. It isn't just traders. What they need to do is learn about how to make money from a downward market. The first thing people should do is protect their assets, protect what they have. Because in less than 12 months, my prediction is the savings of millions of people is going to vanish. And this is just the beginning. So I would say be prepared and act now. The biggest risk people can take right now is not acting.
Alessia Rastani, thank you very much for talking to us.
Do you dream about the economy at night?
I try not to.
Yeah.
Nightmares.
The mainstream media has been thrown in a tailspin after an independent trader told the BBC how the world of big money and politics looks from the inside. In our report from Washington, we take a look at why this was such an eye-opener for many.
The governments don't rule the world. Goldman Sachs rules the world.
It was the comment heard around the world, one that generated widespread reaction from papers and pundits alike.
We appreciate your candour, however, it doesn't help the rest of us, does it?
But instead of talking about the comment itself, most outlets immediately sought to shoot the messenger, Alessia Rastani. Forbes called him a psychopath. CNBC suggests it might be a hoax. New York Magazine wonders if it is a hoax or perhaps our worst nightmare.
Well, regardless of Rastani's intentions, the bigger question has been largely ignored. Was he wrong about the power of Goldman Sachs? And why was everyone so shocked? After all, right here at RT, in our studios, we've had several guests, bona fide traders, even former Goldman Sachs employees who have said the very same thing.
Washington is not the biggest player in this. The global bankers are the biggest players, the global hedge fund managers, and that's where the action, that's who's determining the outcome of this, not the players in Washington. They have already ceded control to the global banking industry.
Wall Street has been pulling the strings in Washington from the get-go. It is the largest sector of campaign contributions, and that's to both parties.
But for the mainstream media who don't air views like these, Rastani's honesty was unexpected, says Survive and Thrive TV's George Heminger.
When they asked him these questions on BBC, he just let it all hang out, and the actual truth came across.
Rastani also sent shockwaves around the world when he told the BBC that most traders don't really care if and when the economy is fixed.
Personally, I've been dreaming of this moment for 3 years. I have a confession, which is I go to bed every night, I dream of another recession.
The BBC interview has now gone viral.
If you could see the people around me, jaws have collectively dropped at what you've just said.
Perhaps their jaws wouldn't have dropped had they only read Matt Taibbi's July 2009 Rolling Stone article, The Great American Bubble Machine. In it, he famously described Goldman Sachs as a, quote, great vampire squid, wrapped around the face of humanity, relentlessly jamming its blood funnel into anything that smells like money. Taibbi discussed with us recently how, although people are unaware of it, the big bank has profound power in society.
How much are you paying for gas? How much are you paying for electricity? How much are you paying for your credit cards, your mortgages? How much are you paying in taxes? And how much of your tax dollars are going to debt service?
That is what democracy looks like!
Unlike the mainstream media, few here would be shocked by Rustani's comments.
We're gonna shut down Wall Street!
For nearly 2 weeks, these protesters have been out every day, hoping to bring an end, or at least awareness, to what many call a corrupt system.
What do we want? Revolution! When do we want it? Now!
And still others have argued for years that the government's actions are dictated by the big banks.
The very special interests on Wall Street, the insurance industry, these are the people who are writing the laws that Obama is passing. They are keeping him in power. They're the ones that have financed his campaign, and the laws are being written for their benefit.
Gijs Groenewegen, he's founder of Silver Arrow Capital Management. That's a precious metals hedge fund. I mean, is it a new normal when it comes to gold and silver at this point? Let's talk about gold. Is it a new normal?
No, it isn't. It's a normal reaction. When the market gets very panicky, they sell everything off and they go for cash and treasuries, because that's really the largest market where you can park your money. But from a fundamental point of view, the dollar and the treasuries are no better, in my point of view, than the sovereign debt in Europe. So I think it's more a great opportunity to accumulate more gold and silver.
You'd be buying out big time.
Yeah, it could go a little bit lower, but we saw today already that, the price of gold went down to 1532, was picked up. Yeah, so we closed at around, 1620. So that tells you that there's a lot of buyers waiting on the sidelines to pick up more gold and silver.
What do you think is the most important thing to the gold market at this point, Gijs? Is it what's happening in Europe? It must be. Or is it the general global macroeconomic environment? I mean, what is the most important thing to the gold trade at this point?
It's everything.
Is it the Indian wedding sex?
No, it isn't. I mean, that's part of it, but that's not really it. What you see the last couple of years is that the investment demand has really increased for gold and silver. But why silver has taken such a hit on the downside is because silver is also an industrial metal. So on the way down, it acts like an industrial metal. On the way up, it's a precious metal.
Right.
And that's why you see much more volatility also, because the silver market, of course, is less deep than the gold market.
We shouldn't read that when we see the silver market going down. We shouldn't read into it. Okay, it is the macroeconomic environment, the global economic environment coming undone, as so many indicators seem to point to.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, as we just discussed, I think, the facts haven't changed. The only thing that changes over time now is the perception that the Europeans are doing something about it and that they might come with some solutions, but they're not solving the problem. So they're just postponing what will happen, in my point of view, in 3 months or 6 months or whatever. But it will happen. We will get the default. The only reason why they haven't called it a default in Greece is purely because otherwise the banks would have to take the losses on their sovereign debt. And then you get this ripple effect which will go through the banking system. So they want to prevent that at any cost.
Right.
And the reason why gold and silver is getting sold off is purely because people go for cash, as I said, and treasuries, because those are the largest markets where you can park your money.
So what? As soon as there's a little bit of calm back in the market, a little bit more optimism and comfort, that we'll start to see both gold and silver move up again?
I believe so. The moment you get sort of benign circumstances, that everything gets back to quote-unquote normal again, I think you see gold and silver picking up again.
So what?
But one more thing I would like to mention is, don't forget that they had performed extremely well, since the beginning of the year.
I was just looking at gold. It's up about 14%. Even with the pullback that we've seen, it's up 14% for the year.
Exactly.
Where do you think we'll be by the end of the year? We're at 1621 right now.
You asked me a difficult question, because everything depends on the circumstances. For example, how they deal with the situation in Europe and so on.
And so far they haven't done it so well.
No, but you could easily end up again by at $2,000. We have seen falls of $100. You could also have up days of $100, because we're getting closer and closer to the final chapter.
What is the final chapter in your opinion, and what do you think central banks' effects on this is? I mean, at some point, if the price gets low enough, don't they want to snap it up too?
Say it again.
What do you think the central banks are doing with gold at this price? I mean, are they selling it off? There's been a lot of reports about the last couple of weeks. Or are some central banks actually buying gold?
No, central banks are not traders, Matt. Central banks are in for the long term. But you have to ask yourself why the central banks are buying gold. Because basically gold can be seen as the opposite of paper money. Paper money was the creation of the central banks, in order to stimulate growth and industrial production, etc., etc. And they buy in gold. I mean, why would you buy gold if you create paper?
I understand perfectly well, but are you saying, when you say we're getting closer to the final chapter, is that the part when paper money is useless and you actually need to use gold as currency?
Well, I think, definitely the monetary function of gold is increasing, no doubts about it, especially because of the inverse correlation which we see with the US dollar and gold. Yeah. But the moment, and I think it will happen at one stage, when paper money is not worth the amount that it's written on, is when you can't buy gold anymore with your dollars.
Heiss, let me ask you though, gold down, 16% in the last 3 weeks. I mean, is there a point, we're at 1621 today, is there a point it gets down to 1,500 or 1,400 that you start to get nervous, or do you just become a more aggressive buyer at that point?
No, there is no issue in terms of, the fundamentals for gold and silver. Yeah, because the big difference with paper is you can create as much paper as you want, but you can't do that with gold. You have to mine gold, you have to get it out of the ground.
Right.
So there is no manipulation. Yeah, what we see happening in the markets at the moment in Europe as well as in the US, there's a huge manipulation scheme going on. Money is being created in order to try to give the economy some traction, which is not there.
So in 5 seconds, if it goes down to 1,400 or 1,300, do you become a more aggressive buyer?
I think the lower it goes, the more aggressive you become in buying the precious metals, because on the longer term, nothing has changed.
Okay, we get around. Heiss, thank you so much.
Welcome.
Heiss Groenewegen, he's the founder of Silver Arrow Capital Management. We're going